Katsina residents protest as bandits attack communities. Taraba State confirms 20 deaths from Lassa fever. With pressure mounting on allegations of terrorism financing, money laundering, Binance suspends Naira services on its platform. The World Health Organization says children starving to death in northern Gaza hospitals. Thank you most kindly for joining us on the News Hour tonight. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We start in Katsina, where residents of Kankara local government area of the state have embarked on yet another protest over the incident bandit attacks across communities in the area. The protest on Tuesday saw hundreds of residents march from Erugoje community to Burudugau community, calling on the government and other relevant agencies to come to their aid. The protesters blocked the Marabar Kankara Katsina Road as part of their demonstrations. Tuesday's protest was triggered by an attack on Ungur Boshe community in Kankara town about 13 hours earlier. Now, gunmen believed to be bandits in their numbers invaded the community at around 8:30 p.m., setting several homes ablaze and killing an unspecified number of people in the area. A little earlier, we spoke to Trust TV's Abdullahi Ahmed, who gave us an update on the development.
Well, the protesters were from Burudugau, Ergoje, Kankara, and some neighboring villages, all in the Kankara local government area of Katsina State, who are saying they are tired of incessant deadly bandits attacks. And of course, sources at Gatakawa and Ergoji told Trust TV that residents of those communities are angry with the government's inability to secure the areas, leaving them at the mercy of the hoodlums. And of course, the protesters in their thousands trekked from Burudugau to Kankara, a distance of at least 25 to 30 kilometers. One of the protesters who preferred not to be mentioned said they embarked on the protest because of, rather it appears that the only way their voices could be heard and listened to is through the protest, lamenting that bandits have killed over 60 people within their communities to western Burudugau and Ergoji over the last 2 weeks alone. The source also have it that they have been dispossessed of all their belongings. The protesters are also appealing to the government to, as a matter of urgency, stop the activities of the proscribed Ensakei, who often attack innocent Fulani settlements, a situation that usually triggers retaliatory attacks by the bandits. He is also appealing to the government to secure the areas and assist them in evacuating the dead bodies of their loved ones that were killed on Monday. The chairman of Kankara local government, who went around to sympathize with the victims, narrowly escaped being lynched by the angry residents who went after him, threatening to take measures against him, to deal with him in those local communities. And the residents are angry, saying nothing is being done by the government at whatever level to protect them from the hoodlums. However, later on Tuesday, the Katsina State Deputy Governor Malam Farouk Lawal Jobe, who is an indigene of the area, visited and urged the protesters to calm down. The government is adopting some security strategies to secure the area, and of course, not only Kankara local government, but the entire state. The deputy governor was heard saying that the bandits are attacking indiscriminately out of frustration, thinking that they can force the government to sit down with them for negotiations, stressing that the Dikoradas administration will never negotiate with terrorists, but they will rather be dealt with as soon as possible, assuring that the protesters we'll begin to see a side of relief in the coming days, urging them to remain supportive to government efforts of restoring peace in Katsina State. So that is the situation at hand, and the protesters have dispersed. Most of them have gone back to their various homes and await the result of what will happen next. Result of the assurances by the Deputy Governor of Katsina State. That is the situation.
Meanwhile, authorities in Katsina State have deployed security operatives in Wurma community following protests and criticisms by Katsina residents over incessant bandit attacks leading to killings, abductions, and rustling of domestic animals a few days earlier. Abdullahi Hamadi, who visited Wurma village a few days after the governor's directive for the deployment of security personnel in the area to guarantee safety of lives and property, has more.
This community was thrown into mourning and deserted after 3 separate consecutive attacks, which led to the killings of 5, abduction of many residents, as well as rustling of an unspecified number of domestic animals. Bandits suspected to be loyal to terrorist kingpin Usman Modi Modi attacked and terrorized unarmed residents, leaving behind dead bodies and tales of horror. Wurma, a community with over 10,000 people, was deserted after security operatives deployed to the village were withdrawn a few minutes after the first attack Monday night. At the moment, normalcy is gradually returning to Wurma community, even as many residents are yet to summon courage to come back home, perhaps for the fear of the unknown. A visit to Wurma local market shows that full-scale businesses are yet to pick up, even with security presence, as many traders here believe that the fearless bandits can strike anytime they wish. You can see by yourself that many traders are yet to return to the market, despite assurances that security operatives have been deployed to Wurma community. The issue is that many people no longer believe in whatever this government is doing concerning insecurity. We have to wait and see. You know, once you are alive, you have to struggle for survival, no matter the situation. That is why we are here, not because we feel we are safe. Look, at this market, you will agree with me that businesses are partially returning. Many traders here are wearing gloomy faces, frequently making references with Lambo community, which is a stone throw from Wurma village, which came under deadly attacks, leaving behind 8 people dead recently. Korefi Local Council Chairman Manir Shehu was at the Wurma local market trying to pacify traders and urging them to look forward to more prosperous days ahead.
Actually, all efforts to restore peace in this community has already been done. Seeing is believing. We have already seen the role played by the Katsina State government. The step taken, what is lawful is clear, what is unlawful is clear. You can see now, look at my divisional police officer is here. He even slept here. All the security agencies are here. The traditional rulers are here. The masses have even started coming.
However, the chairman's mission could only be accomplished if these villages and their communities are secured against terrorist attacks, which had already devastated lives over the last 1.5 decades. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Staying with security-related matters, troops of Operation Hadarin Daji have killed a bandit in Tsohuwar Tasha area of Kauranamodo local government area of Zamfara state. The troops also rescued 15 victims who were almost kidnapped by the bandits on Tuesday. A statement by the spokesperson of Operation Hadarin Daji, Lieutenant Suleiman Male, said the military intervened following a distress call to the troops who forced the bandits to withdraw. The spokesperson said during the tactical rescue operation, 8 females and 7 males successfully escaped from the bandits' captivity. He said normalcy has returned to the area with more security patrols deployed. Despite military operations, the bandits have continued to launch several attacks and abduct citizens in the process. To health matters now, health authorities and residents in Nafada community are at odds over the number of meningitis-related deaths recently recorded. While the government reported only 5 deaths, locals argue the figures are much higher. They claim the government's count overlooks those dying in remote villages. Trust TV's Hassan Kohli visited Nafada local government area of Gombe State to report on the situation.
The first case of meningitis, initially labeled as strange disease, was reported on February 18 in Nafada local government. After sampling, it was confirmed as meningitis. While authorities reported only 2 cases last week, residents believe the numbers are higher and urge the government to intervene to stop the spread. Dalladi Maliki, who lost 2 children to meningitis within a week, shares his heartbreaking experience. I tragically lost 2 children to meningitis within a week. Initially, medical personnel attributed their death to malaria, but I suspected otherwise, witnessing numerous funerals in our neighborhood, suspected to be meningitis-related, reinforced our fears. We urgently appeal to the government for assistance in combating this disease before it escalates further. Last Friday, the state government confirmed that the strange disease in Nafada is indeed meningitis. They assured the public that necessary measures are being implemented to address the situation before it escalates into a major outbreak.
We got 2 cases from Nafada local government that were positive for Neisseria meningitis, and therefore we have cases of Neisseria meningitis, which is a strain that causes outbreaks in this meningitis belt. For us to declare an outbreak for meningitis, we must get at least 10 cases out of 100 in a 100,000 population within one district. Therefore, we are at alert threshold, so we need to do mitigation measures to prevent further spread and to halt it at this level without going into major outbreak.
The state government urges vigilance among residents, asking them to promptly report any symptoms of meningitis to aid in combating the deadly disease. This proactive approach is crucial, especially considering the high mortality rate in neighboring Yobe State. Hassan Kohli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
And in Taraba, the state government has confirmed the deaths of 20 persons from Lassa fever across 7 local government areas of the state. The State Commissioner for Health, Borodia Buma, disclosed this while addressing pressmen in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital. The Commissioner says the 7 affected local government areas include Jalingo, Bali, Ardokola, Karim Lamido, Lau, Gasol, and Wukari local government areas where more than 20 persons have been confirmed dead. According to the Commissioner, the state government has put measures in place to avert further spread of the disease with the administration of antiviral drugs to confirmed cases as well as supportive care and tracing to identify people who may have come in contact with the virus. He advised health workers to ensure speedy sample transportation for laboratory testing and avoid delaying confirmation of diagnosis, as well as ensure proper sensitization and education of the public on the disease outbreak.
It lives with us, actually. it is being carried around and incubated in the rats that lives in the house. So commonly the disease is spread to human beings when human beings come in contact with household items and food materials that are contaminated by these infected rats. So if we're able to prevent or control rats in our environment, we will definitely do ourselves a lot of good in preventing, the spread of Lassa fever.
Now, Benue State government on Tuesday also disclosed the death toll from Lassa fever across 9 local government areas of the state has risen to 13 amid fears that the spread might hit other local government areas. 9 people have been confirmed dead over the weekend, while more deaths were recorded in the past 2 days, bringing the total to 13 across Benue State. The State Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Yanmar Ortese, who made the disclosure at a press briefing in Makodi, the state capital, stressed the need for public awareness as early detection of cases could help improve the chances of survivors. He quoted the World Health Organization as saying that Nigeria is the country with the highest number of reported Lassa fever cases and deaths globally, adding that in the past years, there had been several outbreaks of the disease across Nigeria with thousands of cases reported. Away from health matters now, the Board of Trustees of the Nigeria Interfaith Action Association has called for increased domestic funding for the fight against malaria. In a communique at the end of its 9th Board of Trustees meeting, the group commended the work of the association in bringing faith-based organizations together into playing an active role in the campaign against diseases in the country. The board commended the effort of the interfaith international community and external funders for their support and capacity building for indigenous organizations. It noted that there is an urgent need for the Nigerian government at all levels to take the front position in health interventions across the country, adding that there is a need to step up action in strengthening Nigeria's healthcare system, particularly across primary healthcare centers in the country. Right, moving on to other stories now. In response to the potentially security threats in Plateau State, the State Police Command has taken measures to enhance security around the Plateau State House of Assembly complex in Jos. Cordoning off the road leading to the complex, the police aim to prevent any potential breakdown of law and order on Tuesday. Alabo Alfred, the spokesperson for the police command in Plateau State, confirmed the heightened security presence, indicating its purpose of maintaining public order. When questioned about the specific reasons for the security measures, the police spokesperson suggested awaiting an upcoming press statement for further details. At the State Assembly complex along John Samchi Road, supporters of both the sacked 16 PDP lawmakers and the All Progressive Congress lawmakers yet to be sworn in gathered. Among them, tensions rose amid rumors that the yet to be sworn in APC lawmakers were planning to impeach the current Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. A little earlier, we spoke to Trust TV's Ado Musa, who gave us an update on the situation.
Just like what you have just said, following an allege by the PDP supporters who claimed that there was an attempt by the APC, that the 7 APC lawmakers, to convert at the assembly today and probably to swear in the 16 APC and LP members who were declared winner by the appeal court, the PDP supporters since yesterday, that is according to a source, that they have also converged at the assembly to ensure that these 7 lawmakers who are the All Progressive Congress are not allowed to go into the House to either swear in the new APC lawmakers or to even impeach the Speaker, that is Gabriel Dewan. So this is how the whole thing started. The APC were very angry, that is the APC lawmakers, and that was why, according to some sources, they have taken that decision, that is to go into the House even without the Speaker, that is to resume, and then probably to swear in the new APC lawmakers.
Right.
But because of what has happened this morning, none of the 16 lawmakers or the 7 APC lawmakers was present at the assembly. So this is how the whole thing started. But the security personnel, especially the police, have already taken over the assembly. That is to control the situation.
Yeah. Where are we with the inauguration of the APC lawmakers that were the victors in the appeal court case that led to the sack of the 16 PDP lawmakers? What is the Speaker saying about their swearing into office?
On the 24th of January, if you could recall, when the House resumed, the Speaker came out to address journalists and said that the reason why he would not swear in the 16 APC and LP lawmakers was because he was in the receipt of court process. That was according to him. And that was why he will not be able to swear them until the termination of the court case filed by the 16 PDP lawmakers. So that was the reason he gave them. And since then, there hasn't been any sitting by the assembly. Right. So that was why the APC probably, according to a source, felt that this person has been maybe playing the card of the governor. So for that reason, they have to just take that decision. But if not because of what has happened this morning, that is according to a source, probably they would have found themselves into the House and then possibly to swear in the 16 lawmakers. And if you could recall again, even last week, that is last week Tuesday, the same appeal court also dismissed a motion filed by the 16 or the 16 PDP lawmakers when they attempted or when they now asked the court to review the judgment against them, that is sometimes in November 2023. Right. And if you could recall, they also slammed about 128 million naira against them for seeking the review of the judgment.
Right. Okay, and finally, let's talk about the state government and its role in trying to lower this political temperature in Plateau State. How would you describe the involvement of the state government in this unrest?
There has been a kind of allegation, even though the state government is yet to say anything about the whole thing, but the EPC in particular has been accusing the state government and the speaker as well of playing a kind of or acting the card of the governor. That is the decision not to swear in the 16 APC and LP lawmakers, the closing of the House, and other decisions taken by the speaker. They are alleging that it is the governor that now giving this directive, that is to the speaker not to allow the APC or the new APC to go into the House. Probably because the moment he gets or they get into the House, the speaker may be impeached, because if you look at the number of the lawmakers at the moment, if these 15 APC lawmakers and LP are allowed to go in, the APC will have 23 lawmakers, while the YPP will have 1. That is to make it 24. So there is this fear that the moment you go into the House, there is likely to just take that decision. But if not because of what has happened this morning, that is according to himself, probably they would have found themselves into the House and then possibly to swear in the 16 lawmakers. And if you could recall again, even last week, that is last week Tuesday, the same appeal court also dismissed a motion filed by the 16 or the 16 PDP lawmakers when they attempted or when they now asked the court to review the judgment against them, that is sometimes in November 2023. Right. And if you could recall, they also slammed about 128 million naira against them for seeking the review of the judgment.
Right. Okay, and finally, let's talk about the state government and its role in trying to lower this political temperature in Plateau State. How would you describe the involvement of the state government in this unrest?
You know, there has been a kind of allegation, even though the state government is yet to say anything about the whole thing, but the EPC in particular has been accusing the state government and the speaker as well of playing a kind of or acting the cut of the governor. That is the decision not to swear in the sitting APC and LPA lawmakers, the closing of the house, and other decisions taken by the speaker. They are alleging that it is the governor that now giving this directive, that is to.
That was Ado Musa speaking to me earlier on developments in Plateau State with regards to the ousted PDP lawmakers of the State House of Assembly and the soon-to-be sworn-in APC lawmakers. That is a developing story that will keep track for you. Speaking of other developments in the country, plenary proceedings in the Nigerian Senate were briefly disrupted on Tuesday due to a power outage, forcing senators to temporarily abandon proceedings. The outage, described as a technical glitch by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, was resolved after a couple of minutes following the resumption of the session. Now, the incident highlights the ongoing challenges faced by the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company and the broader issue of power outages in the Federal Capital Territory and indeed across the country. Nigeria's persistent struggle with erratic power supply continues to impact various sectors of the economy, exacerbating Nigeria's development efforts. The power situation has been further compounded by the removal of fuel subsidies, leading to significant increases in the price of premium motor spirit and automotive gas oil.
Before it was rectified. So for some of you who had come earlier, you must have noticed that the place was totally dark. So Clark, get your technical team to be up and doing. It's not something they should have allowed to linger for that long. You understand?
Quite an unfortunate development there. Now, staying with the House of Representatives, the chairman of the House of Assembly, the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Justice, Olumide Oshoba, has recommended safety measures for the well-being of Nigerian children on the internet. Oshoba said this while declaring open a public hearing on a bill for an act to provide for the enactment of Child Online Access Protection Bill and other issues related to online violence against the Nigerian child and other related matters to the National Assembly complex in Abuja on Tuesday. Here's a report.
Recent efforts by the House of Representatives indicate a growing concern for protecting children from various online risks. Part of the measures is for parents and educators to do everything possible to protect the children from falling prey to internet pedophiles. This legislative focus reflects a broader trend towards addressing the challenges posed by children's online interactions, emphasizing the need for proactive measures to ensure their safety in the digital realm.
The bill will serve as a comprehensive framework to counter the many threats to our children. The bill includes measures to establish strict criteria for age verification on social media platforms, ensuring that children cannot access age-inappropriate content. It also mandates schools and educational institutions to incorporate digital literacy and online safety education into their curriculum, empowering our children with the knowledge and skills to navigate the internet world.
Representative of the Speaker of the House, Usman Bello Kumo, said the bill is seeking legislation to ensure all hands are on deck to protect children from being harmed or exploited, adding that they must be passed for the future of the children in the country.
The digitalization of the child online issue cannot be overemphasized because we are in a digital world. And Nigeria, as one member of the Committee of Nations, cannot live in isolation. And therefore, we must key in into the global best practice, and our children must not be exposed to an extent where some people take advantage of them in abusing their rights and their privileges.
Stakeholders like the FIRS, NCC, Human Rights Commission, the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, Nigerian Data Protection, and UNICEF all noted that the safety and well-being of the Nigerian child in this digital age should be one of the nation's utmost priority.
We must not lose sight of the fact that in most cases, it starts online but ends up physically. So we must have that at the back of our minds. Otherwise, we miss the point. It doesn't start and end being online. Now, we also need to ensure that service providers, especially the internet service providers, all that have been provided under the bill, have a responsibility and mandate an obligation to take down.
Laws like the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act are in place to safeguard kids under 13 years online, emphasizing the importance of legal frameworks to protect children's privacy and security. The call by the House of Reps is for a national standard that ensures comprehensive protection for all children, as well as highlights the importance of coercive measures to safeguard children in the digital space.
To Kano State now, where the Commander General of the Kano State Hizbah Board, Sheikh Aminu Daurawa, has issued a 2-week ultimatum to perversive elements in the society to turn a new leaf or leave Kano State, as the state will continue its pushback against immorality. Daurawa announced plans to establish a Hizbah training academy to educate personnel of the board on conducting operations against social vices more effectively. He made these remarks during his resumption at the Hizbah board in Kano following reconciliation with the Kano State Governor, Abba Kabir Yusuf. Daurawa had emphasized that Hizbah has granted a 2-week grace period for those engaged in social vices to turn a new leaf. The Adamawa State Police Command has confirmed the arrest of the state chairman of Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Jaoji Isa, for alleged extortion. In a statement by the spokesperson of the police command in the state, SP Suleiman Yahya Groje, the command revealed that the investigations were conducted leading to the identification and apprehension of the suspect. Groje added that an investigation is currently underway and a prosecution is also in the works. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Still to come. Nigerians divided on the trend of public lootings as economic hardship worsens food crisis. Details of this and many more stories up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news. Thank you most kindly for staying with us. Let's take another look at the headlines. Katsina residents protest against persistent bandit attacks across communities. In Taraba State, the state government has confirmed 20 deaths from Lassa fever. The Nigeria Supreme Council of Sharia in Nigeria says the country is not witnessing sustainable growth and development due to a lack of political will from leaders who have failed to address the systemic rot in the country. The president of the council, Sheikh Abdul Rashid Hadiyatullah, disclosed this at the annual pre-Ramadan lecture in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria. Here's a report by Bello Musa.
Islamic scholars across the country gathered here for the 2024 annual pre-Ramadan lecture in Kaduna, which seeks to prepare the minds of Muslim faithful towards the holy month of Ramadan. President of the Supreme Council of Sharia in Nigeria, Sheikh Abdul Rashid Hadiyatullah, advised Islamic clerics not to use their pulpit to preach insightful message that will destabilize the peace and unity of the country.
In these challenging times, it is crucial that we uphold the principles of peace, unity, and understanding. We should preach against resorting to violent protests against the government and strive for dialogue and constructive engagement with government to address our concerns. Islam encourages us to seek solutions to problems with our leaders through peaceful means only. Violence only begets more violence.
The senior special assistant to the vice president on political matters, Hakim Baba Ahmed, enjoined Muslim Ummah not to shy away from the truth in the month of Ramadan.
So if you are a cleric and you feel you should side the government, the people already know and you lose their respect. If on the other hand, you want to play with the gallery and incite people and say things that will inflame passions, encourage people to take the law into their hands, you will not tell them that when a Muslim breaks into a warehouse or stores a lorry on the road and takes rice and flour, it is not theft in Islam. You will not tell them not to break the laws of the land because Allah will judge you by what you do, but not by what you think is right.
The Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badr, used the occasion to appeal to Nigerians to pray for the present administration to enable it to address the challenges facing the nation.
I'm sure this is the message that they have been sending, as you have heard from him, that we should continue to pray to our country. We shall know whatever hardship we receive is from God, and God in His infinite mercy will see us through. And if we are doing things wrong, we repent and go to the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will certainly help us and make life really easy for us.
The lecture is, among other things, to ensure the realization of a stable Muslim Ummah, as well as a country that is economically, socially, and politically viable. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The organized private sector has sounded the alarm over the escalating trend of looting targeting trucks transporting food items and other essential raw materials, cautioning that such acts could potentially trigger a shutdown of industries across the nation. Members of the organized private sector have voiced their concerns on Monday, highlighting recent incidents where suspected hoodlums attacked trucks ferrying building materials and spaghetti in Ogun and Kaduna states. These attacks, according to the private sector, have become increasingly common amid the backdrop of soaring food inflation and escalating living costs, prompting fears of dire consequences for businesses and the economy at large. The dire situation has prompted the federal government to announce plans to commence the distribution of free grains to states across the country this week in a bid to alleviate the growing food crisis. However, the onslaught on trucks and warehouses predominantly owned by manufacturers and other members of the organized private sector continues unabated. Recent incidents include the looting of food items from trucks stranded along the Kaduna Road in Niger State and the plundering of a warehouse belonging to the Agriculture and Rural Development Secretariat in Dede area of Abuja, where rice, grains and other items were carted away. Well, Nigeria is currently experiencing a surge in looting, targeting public food warehouses and private truck supply chains. Those involved justify their actions as a means of alleviating the impact of high living costs in the country. However, this trend raises concerns regarding both moral and legal implications. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail takes a look into the moral implications and the legal interpretations surrounding looting of food items in both public and private domains, which is emerging as a disturbing trend across the country. His report.
In recent days, Nigeria has witnessed a surge in incidents involving warehouse break-ins, looting, and food truck hijackings by individuals claiming to be addressing the effects of the current economic hardship. The recent wave of looting in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, has left residents concerned, particularly amid escalating food prices and a deepening cost of living crisis. Many residents have mixed feelings about the moral justification for looting as a means of accessing palliatives, reflecting the complex and divisive nature of the issue. The vandalism of warehouses is detrimental. It tarnishes our image and exacerbates our already challenging circumstances. Instead of resorting to vandalism, we should heed God's call to pray for relief, as such actions only compound the existing problems.
At least the masses, the leaders are there for us, to fight for us, but they are keeping us hungry. So that's the reason. I'm not blaming them, but it's not the right thing, but I don't have anything to, instead of to die.
While opinions vary among Nigerians regarding the moral justification of looting to alleviate suffering, activists argue that the current situation in the country has caused the urgent need for those in power to address hunger and poverty, which are the primary drivers behind the recent wave of looting.
It is very, very important that the government rises up by what they are seeing every now and then in the street. You can even imagine the Federal Capital Territory, a situation like this happening here. No, it's very, very discouraging. So the government should rise up.
While some Nigerians have rationalized access to public food store in warehouses, legal practitioner Agbo Francis maintains that there is no justification for vandalism and looting of government or private stores.
Is that the law is as it is, as against what it ought to be. It is immaterial that you are hungry or you have not eaten for some days to justify your act of going to vandalize, to remove what does not belong to you. So whoever, whether they are 200 or 100 or 50 or 30, who went and climbed the trailer or went inside the warehouse and removed those things, it does not belong to them. It is not their own.
The Vice President has, in a stern message to Nigerians, called for the need to protest grievances in a responsible manner that does not violate laws. To prevent further breakdown of law and order, governments are urged to refrain from stockpiling food while the masses suffer, opting instead to distribute these items to provide relief to the people. Additionally, governments are called upon to implement sound policies aimed at improving the economy for the betterment of the nation. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, speaking to national developments, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, has attributed the current food crisis in the country to the attendant price increase of smuggled food items across Nigerian borders and the narrow design policy. The minister, who spoke while appearing in the sectoral debate organized by the House of Representatives, also identified flooding, which destroyed farmlands across the country, as another impediment to food security in the country. Here's the report.
According to the minister, the president has directed the ministry and all those responsible to do everything possible to mitigate the suffering of Nigerians by ensuring enough grains are made available to the people. He, however, said that currently about 5,000 tractors are working in Nigeria, adding that the country should have 72,000 functional tractors to meet the growing needs of Nigerians, while the ministry has signed an MOU with the manufacturer to supply 2,000 tractors annually for the next 5 years.
We also, in 2022, like to downplay that, but it was a fact that the policy of the Naira redesign had an impact on the local rural farmer who didn't have access to cash and at the same time was under cultivation around the September, October when they were harvesting their produce and they need to pay their farmhands and cash was unavailable. And even way to the time of 2023, last year, February, March, when they were just about planning to have to plant for the 2023, both dry and wet season, cash was also not readily available.
The Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Bashir Adini, said the service has commenced the sale of 6 food items to vulnerable Nigerians to address hunger across the country. The customs boss also added that the service has arrested about 120 trucks smuggling food items from Nigeria to other countries, noting that the president has given a directive that the arrested trucks be diverted to the local markets in the areas where they were arrested in order to force down the process of grains and other food items.
We are currently in an operations all over Nigeria, which has resulted in the seizure of over 120 trucks across different border stations and border areas in the country. So, because we are in a state of emergency, we have received the directive to implement some kind of restrictions on the exports of critical food items, particularly grains. And this is what we have been implementing in the last 1 month to ensure that we have local self-sufficiency.
Earlier in his remarks, the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, said given the pressing issue of enhancing food security and agricultural productivity, Nigeria must acknowledge the growing concern surrounding food insecurity, despite the vast agricultural resources at the disposal, including over 80 million arable hectares, where only 34 million arable hectares are actively being cultivated.
Honorable colleagues, our collective effort must focus on addressing both demand and supply factors along with the persistent challenge of food price inflation. Through thorough analysis, I have identified 4 critical levers for improving food security: increasing per capita consumption, raising production yield, curbing food price inflation, and reducing reliance on food import.
He said collective efforts must focus on addressing both demand and supply factors, along with the persistent challenge of food price inflation.
Time now to bring you up to speed with the latest in business. Here's Chiamaka Enendu for the latest.
This is the Business News segment. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. We begin with news coming from the cryptocurrency space, as Binance has announced its discontinuation of its services in Nigeria, urging Nigerian users to withdraw all their Naira assets from the exchange. The decision comes amid a crackdown by Nigerian authorities and Binance executives aimed at addressing instability in the forex market. And Binance advised users to withdraw their NGN assets or convert them into cryptocurrency before the discontinuation of NGN services, with any remaining NGN balances automatically converted to USDT based on the conversion rate starting from 8th of March 2024. And still on news coming from the foreign exchange market, the Bank of Ghana has announced the suspension of the foreign exchange trading licenses of Guaranty Trust Bank Ghana Limited and First Bank Nigeria Bank of Ghana Limited, effective from the 18th of March of 2024 for 1 month. And this decision action comes in response to various breaches of foreign exchange market regulations, including incidents of fraudulent documentation within their foreign exchange operations. And according to the central bank, this measure is in strict accordance with Section 11, subsection 2 of the Foreign Exchange Act of 2006, underscoring the Bank of Ghana's commitment to maintaining integrity and stability of the foreign exchange market. And now to other news. The International Monetary Fund has warned its price caps on fuels and electricity tariffs below the cost recovery could result in the fiscal cost amounting to 3% of GDP in 2024. And the staff of the fund, in the report on completion of their mission to Nigeria, welcomed the decent and recent policy decisions by the government, especially the increase in MPR by 400 basis points to 22.75% last month, stating that the decision will help tame inflation. And according to the report, Nigeria made improvement in revenue collection and oil production, although persistent low revenue mobilizations weakened government's response to certain macroeconomic economic shocks and promotion of lasting development. And now to a review of the stock market activities from today, where the bulls headed the market here in Nigeria, up by 0.35% is displayed right here, with All-Share Index at 98,847.89. The market capitalization hit 56.1 trillion naira, while 398.134 million was the volume of trade for today. And the value of trade hit 31.788 billion, while 10,976 deals exchanged hands on the floor of the exchange today. And now to the top gainers from today's trading session, where Transpower, recently listed on the floor of the exchange, emerged as the top gainer, up by 10.00%, followed by Transcorp, up as well by 10.00%, and First Bank Nigeria Holdings, up as well by 9.88%. And on the flip side now, let us take a look at the losers chart, with Nascon leading the chart, down by 10.00%. And International Brewery is also emerging as a top loser, down as well by 10.00%, while Maybaker, is also down by 9.93%. And now to the top trades and market movers, with Transcorp Power again emerging as the top trade for today, with 87.5 million shares. And Transcorp Nigeria is following closely with 68 million shares, and the United Bank for Africa is also on the chart with 23.4 million shares. And right about now, let us take a look at how markets within the sub-Saharan African region and global markets performed during today's. And now to news from the Forex market, where the Naira appreciated at the parallel market, also known as the black market. And this is after we have seen, intensified efforts coming from the CBN to reduce volatility of the Naira. But let's take a look at how the Naira fared against other major currencies. And now to the commodities market, where crude oil prices fell again today. And this is after we had seen the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, that is the OPEC Plus, agree on Sunday to extend crude production cuts of 2.2 million barrels per day through the second quarter of 2024. Well, that's it for the business news segment. My name is Chiamaka Enendu.
All right, let's take a look at other international developments now. The World Health Organization says an aid mission to 2 hospitals in northern Gaza have found horrifying scenes of children dying of starvation amid dire shortages of food, fuel, and medicines. The findings were grim, according to World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom, who said on X, adding that, quote, the situation at Al-Auda was particularly appalling as one of the buildings is destroyed. The lack of food resulted in the deaths of 10 children, according to the World Health Organization chief. Meanwhile, Geneva-based organization Euromed Human Rights Monitor described these crimes as, quote, part of Israel's genocide against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Well, let's quickly bring you up to speed with the latest in sports. Here's Adeni Ajishafe.
No fewer than 358 athletes represent Nigeria in 25 sporting events at the 13th African Games taking place in Ghana. The Continental Multi-Sport Showpiece will officially kick off on March 8th to 23rd in three Ghanaian cities of Accra, Kumasi and Cape Coast. A breakdown of the 358 athletes shows athletics are the largest contingent heading to Ghana, with 50 of them competing in track and field events. 40 footballers were listed for football matches in both men and women categories. Meanwhile, Nigerian table tennis star Offium Edem has won Nigeria's first medal, a bronze, at the 13th African Games, which served off with the table tennis event on 4th March. The Spain-based player got into the semi-final stage after a classic display against Egypt's Miriam Al-Hodabi in the quarter-final, where she commanded a 4-2 win to be certain of a medal in the singles. The Nigeria then faced defending champion Dina Meshref of Egypt in the semi-final and lost 4-0 to settle for a bronze medal, just like 2019 edition of the Games in Rabat, Morocco. Former Super Eagles goalkeeper Vincent Eyema has been named the greatest African goalkeeper of all time by International Federation of Football History and Statistics. IFFHS, a non-profit organization based in Germany, ranks the performance of football players and coaches worldwide. Eyema's selection as the best African goalkeeper of all time puts him ahead of other legendary goalkeepers from Africa, including Joseph Anthony Bell, Thomas Nkono, and Esam El Hadari. During his senior career, which spanned nearly 20 years, Eyema played for Ibom Stars, Enyimba, Wayawu National in Nigeria, Bnei Yehuda, Hapoel Tel Aviv and Maccabi Tel Aviv in Israel, and Lille of France. A member of Nigerian national team from 2002 to October 2015, served as captain from 2013 until his retirement from international football in 2015. With 101 appearances, Eyema was Nigeria's most capped player till November 2021, when Ahmed Musa surpassed his record. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
Well, that's our offering for you on the News Hour tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us on behalf of the team. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We really appreciate you for watching, and good night.